This happened a couple of years back. I was working the night shift at a small motel, tucked away in a remote corner of the highway. Nights were usually as quiet as a graveyard, with only the occasional late traveler checking in or the soft hum of the neon sign outside breaking the silence. The monotony of these shifts had a peculiar way of making the hours stretch on endlessly. It was around 2 a.m. when my sense of normalcy was shattered. A scream pierced the night, so abrupt and chilling that it sent a jolt through my spine. For a moment I just sat there, startled, my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to convince myself that it was just a guest with their TV volume too high. Maybe a horror movie had gotten the better of them. With this thought, I decided to investigate, hoping it was just that. As I walked down the dimly lit corridor, the eerie silence seemed to engulf me. Approaching the last room where the screams seemed to have originated, I realized something odd. I didn't remember assigning this room to anyone that night. Hesitantly, I knocked on the door, calling out, "Hello, anyone there?" The screams had stopped, replaced by a heavy silence that seemed to press against my ears. I repeated, "Hello, anyone there?" But nothing. No response, just the sound of my own heartbeat loud in my ears. Trying to peer through the window, my view was obstructed by blinds, but I thought I saw a shadow, a movement inside. Knocking again, I said a bit louder, "Hello, I know you're there. Can you please keep the TV noise down? Thank you." Receiving no response, I reluctantly turned back towards my desk, a sense of unease settling in my stomach. As I sat back at my desk, I tried to shrug off the feeling, keeping an eye on the corridor leading to that room. The rest of my shift passed uneventfully, but the incident clung to the back of my mind like a stubborn shadow. When my colleague arrived to take over, I mentioned the strange occurrence. His reaction only added to the mystery. "Are you sure it was that room? According to the logs, it's supposed to be empty," he said with a puzzled frown. We both went to check the room again, only to find it completely empty, just as the logs had stated. To this day, I can't explain what happened on that eerie night. Working the night shift at a small convenience store, you get used to a certain level of quiet and monotony. The nights usually pass in a blur of fluorescent lights and the occasional sound of cars passing by. But one night, everything changed. It was around 3 a.m., the time when the world seems almost too still. That's when he walked in, a man disheveled and with unfocused eyes, holding a knife loosely in his hand. My initial reaction was disbelief, a surreal feeling as if I were detached from the situation. But reality quickly set in as fear gripped me. As he stumbled closer, mumbling incoherently, I realized he was under the influence of something potent. The way he waved the knife around, not with purpose but with a dangerous lack of control, sent a chill down my spine. I tried to talk to him, to calm him down, but my words seemed to have no effect. The situation escalated when he lunged at me, his movements erratic but dangerously fast. My heart pounded in my chest, adrenaline surging through my body as I narrowly dodged his advance. The struggle was chaotic, a blur of motion, the glint of the knife and my own frantic breaths. I remember thinking, I need to get out, I need to survive. In a moment of desperation, I managed to push him away with enough force to create distance between us. I didn't stop to think. I just ran, darting out of the store and into the cold night air. My lungs burned as I ran, and my mind raced faster than my feet. "Call the police, get help," my thoughts screamed. Once I felt safe, hidden behind a nearby car, I called the police, my hands shaking so much I could barely hold the phone. Waiting for them to arrive, I tried to process what had just happened, the fear slowly mingling with relief and disbelief. When the police arrived, I led them back to the store. The scene a chaotic mess, but the man was gone. They took my statement, their words a distant echo as I grappled with the reality of what I had just experienced. That night changed me. It left a mark that went deeper than just a physical experience. It was a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life and the fragility of safety. I couldn't look at the quiet night the same way again. This happened a couple of years back, when I was working the night shift at a rather grand hotel, one that had seen better days. Its walls were lined with faded elegance, and its corridors echoed with whispers of the past. My job, as mundane as it might sound, was to ensure everything was in order during the night, a task that I had grown accustomed to, yet never quite comfortable with. One particular night, something felt off. I noticed that the lights in the basement were flickering, an unusual occurrence since they were recently replaced. I always had an unsettling feeling about the basement. It was cold, damp, and the air felt heavy, as if carrying secrets of the old hotel. With a deep breath, I decided to investigate, a flashlight in hand. As I descended the creaking stairs, the silence of the basement enveloped me. It was in this eerie quietness that I saw it, a shadow, fleeting and obscure, disappearing behind the rows of storage shelves. My heart raced as I moved cautiously through the basement, the beam of my flashlight cutting through the darkness. The sense of being watched was palpable, and every small sound seemed amplified in the stillness. Despite my efforts, I found nothing that could explain the shadow. A part of me wanted to find a logical explanation, maybe a trick of light or a stray animal, but the unease lingered. Returning to the main floor, I tried to shake off the fear, attributing it to tiredness or an overactive imagination. The rest of the night was uneventful, but the image of the shadow stayed with me. When my colleague arrived in the morning, I casually mentioned the incident. His reaction, a mix of surprise and recognition, sent chills down my spine. He began to recount stories from other staff members, tales of unexplained shadows and noises emanating from the basement, dating back years. Suddenly, the incident felt less like a trick of my mind and more like a glimpse into something unexplainable. To this day, the memory of that shadow in the basement lingers with me, a reminder of the night when the boundaries of my skepticism were challenged.